Hey, what's up, pups? It's JR, and welcome to a new series. I'm sure most of you figured I'd do an informational series on Monster Hunter World after Built to Destroy ended, and after a few weeks of thinking about how I would do it, it's finally here. Welcome to A Fiverr's Guide to the World. Pretty good name, huh? I went with Fiverr's Guide because I'm not a Monster Hunter veteran, I'm a Monster Hunter World veteran. So I felt Fiverr's Guide was more fitting than Hunter's Guide. Now, before we get into the video itself, I have something to announce. Some of you may be aware that A, I've been having computer problems, which is the main reason I haven't been uploading, next to crippling depression, and B, I'm completely broke. So I've decided to make it so you can support me directly through PayPal, seeing as how most people either don't want to use a monthly subscription to support me or can't afford a monthly subscription. So if you have some scratch to throw around and want to support a depressed bat, my PayPal email will be in the description of videos from now on. Now, onto the actual video. In the first few episodes of Fiverr's Guide, I'm going to be going over every large monster in World and how to fight them effectively, in order of how they appear in the main storyline. So if you haven't started World yet or are just starting, I'll be right here with you to give you a bit of a helping hand. Thus, let's start out with the Great Jagras. The Great Jagras is the pack leader of the small yellow boys known as Jagras that stalk the ancient forest. It's very headstrong and territorial, so the Great Jagras has been known to attack monsters even bigger and stronger than itself. Its diet consists of pretty much anything it can get its jaws around, but mostly you'll see it eating Aptonoth whole, its stomach expanding to great size afterward. And as being eaten alive is single-handedly one of my biggest fears, this is massively disturbing. Lore shit behind, even though the Great Jagras is pretty fat and has stubby legs, it's still a fanged wyvern, so long as it hasn't eaten anything, it's decently fast and can easily catch an inexperienced hunter off guard. It doesn't have any elemental attacks, so you don't need to worry about it suddenly breathing fire at you or anything. Its kit mainly consists of bites, swipes, charges, and pushes, and because it's the starter monster, it's rather easy to get through an entire Great Jagras hunt without getting hit. For breakable parts, you can break the Great Jagras' head, chest, and forelegs. The pretty much irrelevant difficulty gets kicked up to just about irrelevant whenever the Great Jagras eats and balloons up to become dummy thick. This causes it to move much more slowly, but its hitbox on a lot of its attacks are now bigger, so it's slightly harder to avoid. Most of the attacks you'll see when in this state are the Great Jagras expanding its belly even bigger and belly flopping. This is probably its most damaging attack, but that still isn't saying much. Just be wary if you still only have the starting leather and chainmail armor. Now, while it can't breathe fire, it can sure as hell throw up. Yeah. A less common, but still kind of strong, I guess, attack in this state is the Great Jagras standing up on its hind legs and throwing up Aptonoth chunks at you. Yes, this is very gross. It's a pretty damaging attack for the starter monster, but it's so uncommon you don't really need to worry about it. Now, starting out, this next part doesn't really matter, seeing as how most weapons available to you are non-elemental, but maybe you're having trouble fighting the Great Jag... Yeah, no, this part is basically just a formality. The Great Jagras has a 3-star weakness to fire damage and a 2-star weakness to thunder and ice damage. So to be able to wipe the floor with this thing even harder, make sure to bring a fire weapon. It's vulnerable to every abnormal status, so feel free to use poison, paralysis, blast, and sleep at your leisure. The Great Jagras is a very simple monster, so you can easily take it out just by beating the hell out of it. I don't need to go in depth here. As a final little tidbit before we call it for this segment, here's a quick little tutorial on how to capture a monster for extra rewards to put towards your next weapon or armor piece. To capture a monster, you need 2 key components, either a shock trap or pitfall trap, and at least 2 trank bombs. To craft shock traps, you need a trap tool, which can be bought at the provision stockpile in Astera, and a thunderbug, which can be found in every locale, the most accessible to new players being the northeast of the ancient forest. As for trank bombs, you need sleep herbs and parashrooms to be able to craft 2 apiece. A monster can be captured once in a weakened state. They reach this state when their health reaches 30% and below. You can tell a monster is weakened in 2 main ways. If your Scoutfly's level for this monster you're hunting is level 3, a skull icon will appear on the monster's icon on the minimap. If your Scoutflies are too low level for this, once the monster attempts to leave the zone, it will start limping instead of running normally. If you're trying to capture a monster, it's advised to slow your roll when you feel you've been fighting for a while, because the monster might almost be dead, and you don't want to accidentally slay it because either you'll lose out on the extra rewards you wanted, or even fail the mission if you were supposed to capture it. Now, once the monster has reached its weakened state, capturing it is as simple as trapping it in your pitfall or shock trap and hitting it with 2 trank bombs. Alternatively, if you hit it with 2 trank bombs, you can trap it within the next 45 seconds to successfully capture it. If you hit it with more than 2 trank bombs, every trank bomb after the first 2 will add 100 more seconds to this hidden timer. So if you need a buffer for capturing and have a wealth of trank bombs, this isn't too bad of an idea. After you've trapped and tranked this weakened monster, you'll have successfully captured the monster, and are ready to reap the rewards for a job well done. The next monster for this video is the Kulu-Ya-Ku. a doofy bird wyvern I've come to love. The Kulu-Ya-Ku is a bird wyvern that, while it may look like it's stupid, is capable of picking up rocks and using them as weapons. It's rather timid, only attacking when threatened, and it's not much of a hunting-style predator, so its diet mainly consists of stolen monster eggs. With its body resembling typical raptor-style dinosaurs, you can probably guess the Kulu-Ya-Ku is rather fast and nimble. So stay on your guard when fighting this thing, because it can easily catch you off guard. For breakable parts, you can break the Kulu-Ya-Ku's head and forelegs. Its primary kit consists of claw swipes, jumping attacks, and pecks, most of which will either stagger you or knock you down entirely, so watch yourself. Additionally, the Kulu-Ya-Ku will stop and dig in place for a second before pulling a large rock out of the ground. This isn't just because he saw a shiny thing in the dirt, because now his kit is a lot more aggressive. When it has its pet rock, its kit widens to smacks, smashes, charges, and a leaping smash, dealing more damage than it would otherwise. Be more careful when the Kulu-Ya-Ku has a rock, as it's much more of a threat than you might think. However, you are able to make it drop the rock with continuous damage on the rock itself. Most weapons will simply bounce off the rock, only dealing minimal damage, so it's a good idea to shoot it with either a bowgun or slinger ammo. Additionally, gun lances and similar explosives seem to be able to cause the Kulu-Ya-Ku to drop its rock quicker than other weapons, so it's advised to use them if you want the rock gone. If the rock is quote-unquote low health, the Kulu-Ya-Ku may beat you to the punch by simply throwing its rock at you as a projectile or performing one final leaping smash, which will destroy the rock on impact. The Kulu-Ya-Ku has a 3-star weakness to water damage and a 2-star weakness to all other damage types, so really you can bring whatever weapon you want. Much like the Great Jagras, it is also vulnerable to all abnormal status. The way I like to fight Kulu-Ya-Ku is by bringing a gun lance. My gun lance of choice is the Royal Burst, the gun lance gotten from Pink Rathians. I like to lay into it with every attack I can. Then, when it has a rock, I simply shoot it with my normal shots until it drops it, or simply hit it with a blast from Wyvern's Fire to teach it who's boss. To finish off an episode of Fiverr's Guide, I thought it'd be a good idea to show you me hunting the subject matter from start to finish, so you can get a good real-world example of how they fight. Now, most Fiverr's Guide episodes will not have 2 monsters, so it'll be much more reasonable. Also, to cut down watch time, I'll leave out all of the tracking business and only show you when I'm actually fighting the monster. So, let's go see how Great Jagras and Kulu-Ya-Ku fight. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of A Fiver's Guide to the World. If you did, consider dropping this video a like, and make sure to hit that subscribe button to become a pup, as well as that bell so it actually does something. If you want to support me and the channel, consider becoming a patron, or support me directly through PayPal. My name's JR, and I'll see you guys in the next one.